So effective meetings, I'm going to show you a very practical situation. We can apply it to one-on-one meeting, group meeting, any kind of meeting whatsoever. It's a real example. It could be any individual that I'm going to meet. Scott and I meet on a regular basis. However, the last 4 weeks, there has been an incredible amount of necessary and unfortunate distractions. He's had 2 very sudden emergencies in his family. One of them, his mom died. He's been pulled out. A sales director just recently announced that he is going to be leaving the company. A little bit of a surprise pulled him away to where he and I have not been able to meet on a regular basis for, I would say, 6 weeks. And that's not good. Why? Because we have a lot of things to discuss. We're trying to drive a lot of things, and I need to connect with him on a regular basis. I'm taking you through the journey of how to connect into a good meeting and then how to create a series of good meetings from this first stage. So called him up on Friday and I said, hey, Scott, we need to regroup. He said, yeah, we do. Can we go ahead and meet on Monday and we can discuss this thing? And he said, yeah, okay, but listen, I'm with you. Remind me, what is it that we're going to talk about? And so I said, well, look, here's the things we need to do. So I sent him a text. I said, here's the quick agenda. We talked about corporate video. We needed to get the transcript and then break it down into the different offerings. We have the whole problem of the selling trainings. And I need to know if you like the selling training meeting that was set up. I heard you were in it. I need to get your thoughts on that. Then the corporate training, I need to give you an update that's on, and I need to give you the next steps on how we're going to roll out the corporate training. Then we're going to discuss how to replace Travis, the sales director. Also, I need to update you on how HR is doing. I have some concerns I need to talk to you about. And then our regular meeting on Monday. Boom, I sent that. That took me 45, 60 seconds, 90 seconds at most to tell him what it was we were going to meet. And he said, oh, yeah, we need to talk about all that. Yeah, and then Maurice, I have several other things I need to talk about. So I said, well, good, Scott, I've already sent you an email on it, on all these items. Take a look at it and email me back anything else you want to cover, or do you want to tell me anything right now? No, Maurice, I don't. Let me think it over the weekend, and I'll email you something, and then I'll reply to your email. I said, great. So the email that I had already sent him was this one. Hey, Scott, let me know what else we need to discuss. And there they are. Number 1, the corporate video. I have the transcript. I'm editing it to identify the offerings. The selling training meeting. Did the meeting go well? I have not heard back from Tim. I have some recommendations and new approaches that I think we need to take on this. On the corporate training, I need to update you on the next steps. And Andrea is getting us the notes of the team. Steve is identifying all the next steps with the vendors, and we should have a game plan for next week. All right, about replacing Travis, I really think you're going to need to get an exit interview from him. Then I think you're going to need to go to the sales managers, the sales leads, and get them closer and talk with them. Also, the sales support team, I think you're going to need to get close to them instead of just finding an interim person. And then replacement, how can I help? Number 5, helping HR. So I need to get your clarity on this. And then our regular meeting. All right, he had it over the weekend. He didn't reply to this. He didn't reply to my text other than a thumbs up that he got it. And so then we went into the meeting and we talked yesterday. No PowerPoint, no Zoom, all conversation. And at the end, I said, well, great meeting. Give me a few minutes and I'm going to shoot you all the notes and the tasks and the assignments. About 10, 15 minutes later, I shot him this email. And I say, hey, Scott, here are the notes of what we discussed. You are SM. His name's Scott Matheson, and I am MV. The dots mean that we've assigned a task, and the little blocks there indicate a primary task in each section. Let's email or text each other. See you Monday. Okay, what Monday am I referring to? I'm referring to next Monday. In other words, here's the notes of what we discussed. See you next Monday. So take a look at this. On the corporate video, Maurice is going to send the transcript to Scott. Scott is going to review it and get back with Maurice. The goal is to standardize our offers. On the corporate training, Scott is going to get with Megan, is going to discuss the direction. Maurice is then going to get the notes from Andrea, and then Maurice is going to bring an update from Steve on the application. On the sales director, Steve is going to send Maurice the Travis's exit interview. Maurice is going to get with Travis on the vacancies that are currently in sales before he leaves. Maurice and Scott are going to review it, and then we're going to meet. Then we're going to call a meeting with the sales lead. Scott's going to lead on that. Maurice will attend those meetings. Then Maurice is going to meet with the sales support team. He's going to drive that. And then Scott is going to get more information on the client revenue officer that they've been discussing. All right, then on the selling training, Maurice is going to follow up with Tim on the emails that we sent him, and then Maurice is going to get with Scott on the new recommendations that Maurice wants to propose to him next week. So this went out to Scott about 15, 20 minutes afterwards. I then copied this and I created the next agenda, and I placed it on a shared document, and I sent him the link to this, and I told him, Scott, here is the document that we're going to use on an ongoing basis to make sure that we keep track of all that we're doing, and if we ever get out of whack or we get disorganized organized again. We always go back to this document, and let's always try to use our 4 o'clock Monday rhythm meeting for that. Let's go another week and see how we can stay aligned on that. This is what I go through. Why? Because it always starts very, very disorganized. It always starts very loose. It always starts very unstructured. It starts very much all over the place. So I send a quick agenda. I follow with an email. Then we have the meeting. Then I send the notes, and then I set up the shared document so that we don't have to do all that again. Because I don't want to have to do all that again. I just want to be able to go back to the shared document and use the shared document as our landing place to where we can keep this conversation going, and we have an effective delegation of tasks, next steps, and it's clear what we're all said, and it's clear what the next meeting is going to be all about. Give me your takeaways of what you saw from what I just said.
Just a lot of organization, a lot of structure. And when people see that, they'll know, okay, the next meeting is going to be structured, because that's the way Anthony does it. That's the way Maurice does it. So they'll get in tuned with, if they see you have structure, you have a plan, you have an agenda, you stick with it, you stay on time, then they know that every time you call a meeting, that it's going to be productive.
Very good. Anthony, dead on, dead on. It tends to help the others to participate better. It doesn't mean, however, that Scott and I didn't chase 3 or 4 rabbits, okay? It was a 53-minute meeting. We were supposed to do 45 minutes. It's okay to chase rabbits. We just can't come back, because sometimes chasing the rabbit is the point. So you got to see where that's going, and then you either capture it or you simply just say, all right, let's get back to where we were.
I've seen it in action, right? And so I've kind of seen how it's helped, but then I've also seen instances where you kind of got off track from it and how it has kind of created chaos. And then just going back to that dynamic of putting it where you can see and staying on track has helped move forward with the meeting being more efficient, knowing what's going on, and like rocking and rolling, getting out of there for both people.
I think that's an excellent point. When and if you do get off track, you can use this to get back on track. It just happens. Life gets so busy that we get disorganized. And so it's being able to admit that, I'm sorry, I know we've been meeting. That last meeting, I know I was all over the place. Dude, I'm going to jump back into shared document. Let me take a stab at it. I'm going to reorganize it. I'm going to send it to you. You tell me, let's move things around, and you tell me what you think, and then let's resettle. Is that all right? Yeah, man, Mo, I appreciate that, but that's really good, because I really thought that we were all over the place last meeting. So go ahead and send that to me. I'll take a look at it, and then we'll reset it. It's normal to do that. But if you and I have to start and reset from the beginning every time and recreate it, man, no one's got time for that. By being able to say that you and I are going to meet on a regular basis and we're going to have a document that governs that, is a lot easier to make sure that document stays organized. It can get long, it can get short. It's mine and your document, but as long as we're talking about the same document, it's easy to reset. It's easy to reset. So great point. Great point.
I think it's great because, we have so many meetings. It's very important that we're productive with the time that we have in these meetings, not to create more meetings and just, bombard everyone's calendar. That, we need to have an agenda. We need to stay focused and stay organized in order to, as a new term I just learned that y'all are going to learn soon enough, move these rocks. We're in a lot of meetings. We're doing a lot of things. And so we have to keep moving forward in order not to be overwhelmed with everything that's going on. When we meet, it needs to be productive. It just has to be.
Okay, I would say with the agenda that you have, it was good because it make them take notes. When you send it out and we follow an agenda, for myself and even going through the meetings, it makes everyone, not say make them, but it pushes them to take the notes. So when they leave the meeting, they can have something to look back on. If they forget something, or they forget something that, I said or someone else have said, they can pull out their notes and look back upon it. And even for the next meeting. So like say when we come back next week, okay, we may have forgot that you have said something. We can look back on our agenda and say, okay, well, we wrote this down. You said something. So instead of us saying, okay, well, reaching out to someone, we can go back to our notes first before we reach back out.
Right. That's a great observation. It really is. That happens to me a lot too, y'all. When that happens and you realize that I called the meeting and we're not sticking to it, I have to be the one that says, hey guys, can we kind of bring the conversation back to that?
So it's good to actually have an agenda and we jotting down as we go on through our meeting.
That's right. So the agenda is what gives it boundaries on what we're going to talk. And if we're not going to talk about the agenda, somebody has to speak up to the fact that, guys, we're not following the agenda. You see, somebody has to. Now, to your point, the notes is what then on the back end makes what we discuss real. In other words, I sent you guys the notes. We all said that's what we're going to do. And the next time we meet, that's what we're going to make sure we follow up. And when everybody realizes that the notes went out reflecting what we discussed, and that somewhere on the note says we're going to meet next Monday at 4:00, okay, I bet you anything Maurice is going to ask us, so where are we with about the notes? We're not just going to have next week's meeting with an open discussion. So how's everybody doing? And just, no, we're going to start the next meeting using the notes from the last meeting. And so on the front end, the agenda is what gives the meeting order and allows us to make sure we stay on task. The notes is what gives all of us direction on what we said at the meeting so that we don't forget or misinterpret or let our hidden agendas then take over after we left the room.
You feel more productive leaving a meeting like that than it being all over the place and not having that structure and that agenda.
Hey, everybody, great job making it through this. Go to the next module. Let's get moving to the next levels. Good luck. And again, thank you for joining the program. Honored to help you.